with your hosts, Justice General Radford, host of the Justice for All podcast, Jake Jordan, host of the Lowdown with Jake Jordan, with special guest, JSpenceTheKing, entrepreneur, journalist, and host of the Code of Conduct, Hump Day Hotline, and the Chop Up, with the Buffalo Rumblings Multimedia Network.
Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome to First Round By. It's your favorite Friday night show. It's your favorite Friday night, guys. That's not how Jake does it, but that's as good as it's going to get tonight.
Closer and closer, man. You're
closer,
going to get it one night.
It wasn't as bad as last time. Well, what's up going on, everybody? Welcome to First Round By. We are your hosts, myself and my main man Jake Jordan over here, host of the Lowdown podcast. Drops every single Friday. Go make sure you check that out every single Friday. We also have Izzy, host of the Red Zone Report. Host of the Red Zone Report. What's
Appreciate
going
it,
on,
bro?
Izzy? Former host, co-host of First Round By. So always special. Co-host. It was always special to have you on, Izzy. Appreciate you coming through. And of course, man. Of course, we have the main man, the legend himself, Mr. JSpenceTheKing, host of everything, Code of Conduct.
El Rey.
We back too. We back.
What's going on, man? Thank you for joining us tonight. How you doing?
Man, thank you. That intro got me ready. Like I said, I was in the spaces and the energy was kind of off, so it had me in a different space. And you played that intro. I'm ready. Let's get it.
See, that's the goal. You know what I'm saying? When I put them together, that's what I'm trying to make you feel the energy. You know what I mean? And trying to bring the energy always on a Friday night. Let's go ahead and get into some Bills news. We pretty much got our offensive line, for the most part, intact. We still probably need to get a little bit depth, but we got Ryan Bates back. We got Ike Bacher back. Of course, Saffold and everything else that goes with it. Jake, what do you think about the offensive line and where the Bills need to go from here?
Well, when we last time we talked, we were sitting here. We had no idea about Ryan Bates. We're sitting here. Okay, what's going on? What are we going to do in the first round of the draft? Okay, there was a bunch of question marks that we still had. And then when the Ike Bacher news hit, I was like, okay, obviously they know something. They're in the building. They see him. They know how his recovery's doing. So if they're going to give him a contract, they feel confident he'll come back and he'll be, decent enough to be able to still play that role that he's had on the team. And then the news comes in about Ryan Bates. And, I thought initially when we first heard stuff, I was like, oh, okay. 4 years. I was a little bit confused when the 4 years came in. I was like, Chicago was really going to give him 4 years? I underestimated Ryan Bates. And I know that he was a integral part of our offensive line towards the end of the year. And he really shored it up and he showed how important he was. I didn't know that the Chicago Bears were going to hand us a 4-year deal where in a couple of years, if Ryan Bates keeps doing what he's doing, that we're going to have a really good value on a starting guard in the league. That is the one thing that surprised me the most about it, because I assume that if you're going to match that contract, you're kind of assuming paying him that kind of money, he's going to be, a starter, or at least the front runner when competing for the starting job. So I think now the question kind of is, what spot are you going to put him on the offensive line? Now, I know a lot of people are saying, well, left guard is Roger Saffold, but some people also have brought up that, Saffold's a 1-year deal thing right now. So would you rather put Ryan Bates over there and have him be that position going forward for the next 4 years? And I know he's versatile, but I guess that's a question I can pose to you guys, and you guys can answer that as well. Where do you think Ryan Bates starts in this first year, or do you think they kind of move him around over these next couple of years, Justice?
Oh well, I mean, well, we could pose the question to one of our guests. What do you think, Jay Spence?
Well, I think typically in a year like this is one of the years where like the Bills are obviously going all in. They go out and get Von Miller. They're spending money in seemingly all the right places. And you sign a guy like Saffold. You don't sign him to move him around. Like this guy is like a very, very quality left guard. So what you want to do is you want to play him at the position that he's best at, because this is the year. Like this is the year. So like, I understand like he doesn't have the long-term deal. This could be one of those things too, where, who knows, when they sat down to sign, it could have been like, look, Roger, look, this is the year that we're going to try to do this. If this thing works out, we'll work out a long-term deal, which should maybe 3 to 4 years. But right now, this is what we got, because we got to sign Von, because we got to do this. So like there's a lot of moving parts this year. So I just think that, when you sign a guy like this, while you were speaking, I pulled up his the PR release when they signed him. The guy is just a monster, man. Like, and you put him over there with Dion, and then on the right side now, you're talking about, we have our franchise right tackle. Spencer Brown he's a monster and he's a beast. So now you get this guy back, who the Bears obviously looked at as like a starter. They really wanted to get this guy in there. So now we solidified our line. I think the next step, is to make our offensive line just as deep as our defensive line. Because this is the first year where I really feel like our defensive line is going to do what it was supposed to do and get to the quarterback, like for real.
Yeah, and I really like that, because I posed that question and I see it a lot on there. When they signed Roger Saffold, they had no idea what was going to go on with Ryan Bates. So people using he's got 4 years, maybe we put him there as a long-term option. They didn't sign Roger Saffold to the deal till before that 4-year deal. So when it comes to the long-term plan, I don't think any of those two things really correlate with each other. I think that right now, if you can have a guy like Ryan Bates, who is, pretty good, that left side of the line towards the end of the year, it basically looked like it didn't miss a beat, and it actually improved at the end of the year. Now imagine what that's going to happen when you put him in that right side there with a rookie or second-year player now with Spencer Brown and under Aaron Cromer. I think it's going to be a great pair in there. I think that right guard spot.
Our left side is locked down. We got excuse me, we got a Pro Bowler and Dion. We got Saffold over there holding it down. We know Mitch Morse is very reliable. That seems like it should be very solid. Bringing back Ryan Bates, I think he probably would play right guard, and I think we seen what he did last year. So I mean, have no until we see otherwise. It's kind of feels like that's what we should expect, because I mean, he did it through the last stretch of the season, going into the playoffs and into the playoffs. They played extremely well. The offensive unit altogether played really well. Obviously pitching a perfect game versus the Patriots, and then doing what they did versus the Chiefs defense. Essentially winning the game is what they essentially did. So obviously the offensive line looked really good. And then you replace the value of a Darrell Williams, who was good, but he was getting paid like a tackle, obviously. So you replace that value with probably an even better guard in Saffold, and I think you're looking good. So Izzy, what are you thinking?
So initially my thoughts were really it doesn't matter which side Ryan Bates plays on, because he can play every position on the line. He can go left tackle, right guard, center. He can do it all. But last year when we inserted him between Dion and Morse, he really solidified what the line was. And in my opinion, they'd probably want to keep that continuity, and they'd want to put him back between those two guys, and then put a real veteran between Morse and the young buck in Spencer Brown. And that thinking may go against some other thoughts, but my personal ideology when it comes to this is that when you have somebody like a Roger Saffold who is experienced enough, he can go in there and road great on the right side. Like, our runs to the right were not that great until that playoff game against the Patriots. And, we had Williams there, who is a very solid right guard, probably better suited at tackle, was getting paid as a tackle, and wouldn't take a pay cut to play as a guard. So you go get Saffold, and you bring back Bates, even though he got a nice little 4-year deal. Bates is only 25 years old. So locking him up for 4 years isn't a bad idea. And I think Cromer can actually use Saffold in many ways because he's been with him before. He knows what he can do and what he can't do. So my ideology is put the experienced guard on the right side between the experienced center and the inexperienced right tackle, and then put the younger but solid guard that you know and has proven himself for your team going down the long stretch between your very good and very good center on the left side. So I think that Saffold on the right would solidify our line from right to left, going from right guard all the way to tackle. And that's where I'm at, but I'm not sure. You guys could be totally right in saying that Saffold will play left and Bates will play right, but where Bates proved himself was at left, and you sign him to a 4-year deal, you sign Saffold to a 1-year deal. And then my show on Sunday, I predicted a guard in the first round, and now we brought Bates and Bakker back. And Bakker can play both sides too as well. So I really don't know. But either way, I'm pretty damn pumped about this shit.
No, you're right. I had it mixed up. I put Bates on the right side and Saffold on the left when it was it was Williams who played right guard. So that was on me. But
I just wanted to let you know too. I'm just looking. Roger Saffold has played right guard before, but it was only for 2 years, once in 2013 and once in 2015. Other than that, he's either been a left tackle or a left guard his whole career. So,
that's interesting.
And on top of it, like I get the thought behind, or the thought process behind what you guys are saying. But like, okay, so let's ask this question. Saffold is an all-pro player. He won all-pro honors in 2017. He hasn't fallen off of a cliff. All-pro? It's not Pro Bowl. Absolutely, I'm saying all-pro. So, I mean, he hasn't fallen off a cliff. He's still that guy. So let me ask you this. We have a first-team all-pro safety and a second-team all-pro safety. Okay, Trey White is maybe questionable to be back not early enough to really make the difference that we want him to make for the season. Would you move those guys to cornerback just because they're all pro caliber player? No, they're great as safeties. You get what I'm saying? So when you have this guy that's an all pro level caliber left guard, you're protecting your all pro caliber quarterback along with your Pro Bowl left tackle. And I get that, last year,
makes sense.
Our guy,
that does make sense.
He really hooked it up. He played well and the line elevated. So what you want to do is, you want to keep it elevated. And that's why you grab an all pro guy to continue to elevate it. You get somebody better. And like I said, I understand the thought process, but that's why you make that signing. Because if it wasn't about like really, really making it better, they want this thing this year, the running game, they want Devin Singletary to look amazing this year. If they pick up somebody in the draft, they want him to look amazing. If it's Zach Moss, they're going to give him another shot. They want this to be the year for him, and they don't want it to be any excuses. So you put an all-pro guy in the spot that he's all-pro at, and that's how, you know what I mean. And but like I said, I'm not saying it to say like your point of view is completely wrong. I'm just, I'm used to being all.
I know, bro.
Yeah, I just want to make sure.
No. So I get it because at an all-pro level, you want your guy to be in his best position. But usually guards are interchangeable, right and left. Usually,
so that means Bates can go.
Yeah,
we've seen
Bates. That's exactly why I can be wrong. You're right, just because I can be wrong in that aspect.
So Bates,
I just feel like we've seen. I feel like we've seen that with our team, but because the way that I think that's the problem with Cody Ford. I think that's the reason why he was drafted in the second round and everybody was excited because of the potential that we saw in him. And then they kept moving him. He was right guard, right tackle, left guard, back to right tackle, back to right. And because of that, they're trying to move him around. These guys don't really get it. They don't get into their groove and it ruins players. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I understand that he played left guard last year, but you got a guy that's better than him. So even if it's just for this year, you got a guy that's better. He moves. Two.
Yeah, both Saffold and Bates are better than Cody at left guard.
Absolutely.
So Cody's gonna have to go in there and compete with whoever is playing right guard. So whatever the Bills decide, maybe Cody Ford just didn't fit that scheme with OG Bobby Johnson, and maybe he's gonna fit better in this scheme coming forward. And this could be a year. This could be a year where, I mean, to be fair, we ran a zone block scheme last year. This year we're gonna run a gap block scheme. If Cromer's to run what he normally runs, which you wouldn't bring somebody in to run something they don't. I'm guessing that Dorsey was part of that decision. So What it boils down to is, like, I think they're going to give Cody his shot because they haven't traded or cut him yet. He's still here, and he could issue a 5th or 6th round pick right now, and they're good at flipping those players for picks. And you can get an extra pick if you wanted it, but looks like they may be sticking with Cody to be a potential learner and maybe successor to Saffold going forward. But I still believe that the Bills pick a guard in the first 2 rounds.
Yeah, I think. I think they'll definitely get some depth in the draft. But last point for Jake before we move on.
Oh, I was just gonna say is that the whole allure of Ryan Bates is that he's very versatile, and he's one of those players that they like, that he can go on any spot on the line and he's solid. That's what they like about him, and that's why they've kept him around. So if you're going to have a guy who hasn't played right guard and has been on the left side since 2016, and Roger Saffold, and he's played in the Pro Bowl next to Deion Dawkins, he already talked about that when he was introduced. Like, I think that that's the natural spot for him this year. That's just where you put him. I can see why, maybe you want to put him over there next to the rookie because he's a veteran, but I still think that when he was brought in, it was kind of like, we want you to just shore up that left side of the line there, and then we'll figure out what's going on at right guard. But now the whole Ryan Bates thing has come on, and I think that Ryan Bates is now that guy where they're like, okay, well, we were able to get you back. There you go. Like, we'll have you right there because we believe that you can do that. That's why they matched the offer. They're like, okay, yeah, no, that solves our problem right there. So I think that's why they bring him back. And I think Cody Ford, it has killed me over, and Justice knows this. We've had plenty of shows, and Jay Spence, you just said it, is that every single time it's like, okay, what position is Cody Ford going to be taught this year? Like, it's like,
receiver, let's go.
Yeah, I like when they're like, yeah, Cody, we're gonna line you up at tight end. Like, I need him to. I think that Aaron Cromer, what they'll do with Cody Ford if they don't move on from him, is that they can have Cody Ford and be like, okay, we're gonna get a guy who is gonna be a backup, but I think that they can be like, hey, let's develop this guy and have him at one spot. And I think that Aaron Cromer is going to be able to do that. Hopefully, that's what you hope happens with Cody Ford. But I think Cody Ford is probably going to get a shot this year again because he's a draft pick. Everybody's going to get their shot. But I think Ryan Bates is that right guard, man.
Yeah, I think 2nd round draft pick. You hope that he turns into something, so you kind of want to get something out of him. And even from the Chicago Bears, standpoint, you get a guard coming to you saying that, hey, as soon as I stepped in, I helped Josh Allen lead, a late season playoff run at an elite level, and I can help your young quarterback, Justin Fields, as he comes into his own. And get it. That's where I think that long-term contract might have come from.
That's why the Bears did it. They saw what he was able to do. All you got to do is look at the tape of how the offensive line was performing before and after Ryan Bates got slipped in there. That's a guy that, if you were able to get him at that value, could have been a core piece to help build that line in front of Justin Fields. And Brandon Beane was like, "Well, I'll match that all day."
Yeah,
sure.
So
we're bringing him back.
We got him back. So our offensive line looks like it's good to go. But speaking of being good to go, half of the offensive line's job is to be able to run block, and run blocking needs running backs, and we just lost one. We released Christian Wade today, so now our running back room looks like Devin Singletary, Zach Moss, Duke Williams, and Tywan Jones. Tywan Jones is special teams. So really, to speak on Singletary, Williams, and Moss, Jay Spence, what is your thoughts on the running back room? What does it need, or what does it not need anymore?
I think from a team's perspective, I think they're actually surprisingly comfortable with, the way the team looks. I think the addition of Duke Johnson, I think, adds a element to the offense that they've been wanting to kind of put on the field, but they haven't really had the personnel to do. So now they have that, that receiving back, that guy that you can do the screens and hopefully really open up the offense in a different way. And I think what we saw the last maybe 3 games or 4 games of the season, and then a couple games in the playoffs from Devin Singletary, I think is very, very encouraging for the team. And I think they're looking at it going forward. Like, look, if this is Devin Singletary and behind this improved line, we have Pro Bowl and all pro caliber players across the left side. And then we got our new developed studs on the right side. Like, we have this newly developed line. I think they really, really feel like this is the year that we expect you guys to be who we drafted. So I wouldn't be surprised if fans who are team draft or running back are disappointed after the draft, because I think with the additions to the offensive line, the way they beefed it up, I think the expectation this year is that the running game is going to be what they envision Devin Singletary and Zach Moss to be.
I guess we'll see what happens. Jake, what do you think?
So when I look at it, and we talked about the running back room, and I kind of talked about, everybody's like, oh, first round running back. I don't think that that's cost prohibitive when it comes to how you spend your draft picks, especially with the offense that we run. I think that what we have right now, it kind of just shows you they're comfortable. What I say that running back is a need. Well, if you look after next year, I believe the only ones that you have still under contract is Zach Moss would be running back 1. So I think that it's still in play for draft running back like the Bills have kind of done when they got Singletary, when they got Moss in those mid rounds. I think that's probably when they do it again, experiment with it again, because Zach Moss kind of just hasn't been what they wanted him to be when they drafted him, which when you're drafting these mid round guys, you're kind of just expecting, okay, this is the guy that if we don't want to pay our running back 1 right now, he can step in and he can be productive in that. We haven't seen it yet from Zach Moss, so I wouldn't be surprised if they maybe draft a mid-round running back again this year, or they just go into next year if Duke Johnson really plays out the way they want, and they're like, hey, there's going to be running backs that are just sitting out there that we can pick up, like that'll just plug right into this offense. So there's 2 different ways they could go about it, but I think that right now the way they have their running back room set up is just, they're handing it to him and they're saying, look, now it's all on you. Have the success. Like we have an offensive line coach who made it to where the Bills have one of the best rushing offenses in the league. Now we've got these studs on the line, and we got a guy in Devin Singletary who last year, towards the end of the year and in the playoffs, like Spence said, he was starting to come into his own. So it's like, all right, now we're going to hand you the keys again. We've got everything kind of shored up. Let's get rolling and let's see what happens from there. So, yeah, I think that the running back room right now, there's a couple ways they could go about it, but it's definitely not the highest priority.
Yeah. Real quick before we move on to Izzy, Spence, you said something interesting. You said we're going to see the Singletary and Moss that we expected to see. So you think it's going to be a 2-headed monster, or do you think they just go to Singletary as the feature back?
I still do. I think that the coaching staff really like Zach Moss. I know as a fan base, we get frustrated when things don't go the way that we feel it should go during the season. And the same thing with Devin. The coaching staff benched him a couple of times throughout his career here. So, it's been a love-hate thing, but I think what we saw in the playoffs and in the end of the season, I think they're really, really encouraged. I think they really like Zach Moss. I think, they were disappointed to lose out in McKissick, but at the same time to go and sign Duke, I think they're like, you know what? Less money, same or slightly better value. I'm not a big fan of the signing, but that's a completely I like McKissick just a little bit more because I think it fit the personality of the team better. Yeah. But as far as value, what you're going to get on the team, Duke is he's going to do what he's supposed to do. So I think they're actually very, very comfortable. So to Jake's point, next season you don't have Devin unless you re-sign him, unless you extend him. We don't have Devin next year. But I don't want to minimize the running back position, but there's always you can draft every year. Yeah. And these guys now are expected as running backs to come out to draft and start playing. And so I just think that this year they're comfortable. They're like, okay, Devin, prove that you deserve. He's not going to get a big second contract by any means, so prove to us that you deserve to be on this, because we're going to win a Super Bowl. We're going to win it. So you want to be here. So prove to us that you want to be with this team. So I think that's where they are with them. And I think it's one of those years, it's a contract year. It's one of those things that, and we talk about it in every sport, basketball, football, whatever. These guys in contract years, they ball out.
Oh, yeah.
there's no excuse. So he has a contract year to ball out. He has losing it the way that they lost. He has being benched a couple times. He has the fact that they upgraded the offensive line. He has like literally zero excuse now to perform well. So if it doesn't work out this year, I can absolutely see us moving on. But as of right now, I think they're happy with the room.
Yeah.
Izzy, what do you think about the running back room? You muted, brother.
You're muted.
Y'all know what I said. Y'all saw it. So personally, I think that Jay Spence is right. They're happy with the room right now, and I don't see them picking a running back in the first round unless the guys that they really wanted at corner, receiver, or guard are gone, and then maybe they'll look at a Breece Hall, possibly, and that's very possible. If he's the best player on the board, that's Brandon Bean's bread and butter. Personally, I like what I saw from Chad Reuter on NFL.com, where he saw us taking Jerome Ford from Cincinnati in round 4, which makes total sense to me, because if Devin Singletary falters, then you can let him go and then have a Jerome Ford on the roster, who's a 4.46 40 guy, which is faster than all the backs we have currently. I'm not sure what Duke Ford's 40 is, so don't quote me on that. And Tywan Jones is not really a running back, so let's just not play that game. He can play offense every now and then and catch out the backfield and give you some yards, as he did against us in the playoffs. But personally, I think that they are happy overall with the room, and they're not going to take one unless they're the best player on the board at that particular time. And I think Jerome Ford in the 4th round is the best value at the spot. He played for Cincinnati, who was a powerhouse this year in the I don't even know what division they're in anymore, because the Big East is gone. And
so it's the American. I'm a
AAC, fan, so right? It's not the ACC,
yeah.
but it's the AAC now, right? The All-American Football Conference.
But now we're moving to the Big 12. But
something like that.
The American.
By the way, Duke Williams ran a 4.48.
So that would make this guy, Jerome Ford, the fastest running back in the room, because he just ran a 4.46. He's not 5 or 6 years in his career. That could be a potential get that they get in the draft. But I do agree with Jay Spence. They do like what they see out of Devin Singletary, especially when you improve the line. Bates went in, the line improved, and that left side was nasty. And Singletary was able to beat runs on the right side at this point, like in the playoffs against the Patriots, who are usually fairly run sound, especially against us. Singletary was able to break some good runs. So I think that he's right. He's not going to cost a lot. He's going to be, a 4-year, $12 million guy maybe, and you can keep him on the cheap if you don't get a running back in the draft. But if you do, and he doesn't produce, he's as good as gone. But personally, I think he's safer than Moss.
So,
absolutely.
To me, I feel like running back in the first round is very aggressive.
It is.
I don't think that's,
but at 25, but at 25 is kind of like at 2, like Jacob Barkley at 2.
I think
or Zeke at 4, whatever he was.
I just don't like the contract numbers for a running back.
It's cool. Like
I'm with you.
Second round is fine. So
my thing is, I'm saying, like, if he's there at 25 and no one else you like is there, and he's a late first rounder, and you get a 5th-year option if you really want it, so you don't have to pay him a whole boatload of money.
Because there's a lot of running backs I like.
There are a lot. I just named one. I love Jerome Davis, so give me him at 4.
Speaking of the draft, real quick, there's a lot of different philosophies out there, right? There is go get an offensive lineman anyway, just get a guy that'll be your future. There is get your CB2 that could potentially be CB1. There is get a playmaker. There is some people think we should take a running back. But it's just flat. But well, Jay Spence, let's start with you. What is your draft philosophy for the first 3 rounds? What are you thinking? If Jay Spence was the general manager, how would you go about it?
If I was the general manager, first thing, honest to God, I would trade up in the first round.
I swear you in my head, bro.
So there's a couple of reasons, but the reason, the main reason why I would trade up, the main reason is because we're at the point now where the signings that we made, the guys that we have back, is a very consistent team. So we don't have open roster spots. So the thing is, we're not, same thing that happened last year is going to happen again this year. We're going to make these draft picks, and then we're going to have guys on the practice squad who actually is good enough to probably play on the team. But because we have all pros and whatever on our team, they're not going to get an opportunity. They're just going to sit on the practice squad until the Jets or until some other team come and pluck them off of our practice squad. So for me, instead of doing that, I would rather package a couple picks up. I don't know how high. I can't say. I'm not a draft expert. But what I'm saying is you package whatever necessary picks it is to move to grab the quality player that you think can come in and be a game changer. And for me, at first round, if we can go cornerback, I'm going cornerback. Right now, Trey White he's not going to be back, and if he is back, he's not going to be 100% back at the beginning of the season. You want to have somebody who is going to be maybe not just as good, but somebody solid. We lost Levi. And then even when Trey comes back, good. You got Trey White back, and now you have a solid quality CB2, potential CB1. You gotta, I feel like cornerbacks, if you're short on cornerbacks and quarterback, every year you draft one until you hit. Like, that's just how I feel. I feel like you don't waste a draft solidifying the most important guy on your defense or the most important guy on your offense. So for the Bills right now, that's the hole that scares me. Everywhere else, I feel like, okay, like there's certain areas where people I know the Tremaine talk where some people want to move on Tremaine and draft another guy that has some more maybe flashy type of qualities. Fine. I understand that perspective. But when you really look at the team, I don't look at Tremaine as a weakness. I look at it as where he might not make the plays that everybody wants him to make, but he's not a weakness. Like, we're not looking at the linebackers like, holy crap, dude, we suck. We're not. But when you're looking at that cornerback position right now, after losing Levi, no, we love Dane. We love, we love the team, but it's still like, okay, say Trey doesn't come back this year. Are we comfortable with our cornerback room? Do we think, even with our all-pro safeties, do we think that our cornerback room is the cornerback room that can get us where we're trying to go? I just don't know.
Ooh, okay. I mean, I can see.
Like
I see what you're saying. So let me ask you this: what would you would let's say you take a corner in the first round, right? Now, what is that? So does that mean they just lose faith in Dane Jackson altogether? Does he go to quarterback 4, or what's going on with Dane?
No, I mean, well, first it's competition. Like, it's still football. It's a business. But like I said, right now, you can't go into the season just assuming that you're going to be good enough to get back to where we were. You can't do that. On defense, we were the number 1 defense even after Trey got injured. But guess what? You can't assume that that's going to be the same thing this year. And going into the season, there's an expectation that he might not be here until November. And then I tell you, from experience and also from everybody who watches football sees, or basketball, they see what happens to these guys after ACL tear. They come back and they're not quite the same player that first year. Normally it's that second year, the middle of the second year, where they kind of come back and look close to what they were prior. So when Trey comes back, are we going to get all pro Trey White, or are we going to get a little bit slower because he doesn't quite trust his knee? Or are we going to get, somebody who just doesn't move quite the same? I don't know. So what I'm saying is, Dane Jackson, we love him. But right now, it's Dane Jackson and who?
Cam Lewis.
Cam Lewis? You want Cam Lewis? We got Tariq Hill in our division now.
I 100% agree with you, Spence. I mean, these guys, they were on the show last week. They can attest. I said, you really going into the season with Dane Jackson being CB1? It's not that, like, I'm sitting here going like Dane Jackson's terrible, because he's it's like it's no diss. It's just, if you just look at the sheer numbers of the room, the Bills need a guy in there. Like,
I mean,
like,
if Dane starts CB1, who's CB2? Saran Neal?
Cam Lewis.
Maybe Saran Neal, or even Cam Lewis, because they were giving Cam Lewis a shot.
I'd take Cam over Saran, but some people would say Saran.
Well, go ahead. My bad.
Oh, I was just gonna say I would say Cam, just because they were giving him shots over Teron Johnson before he took that step up. So so I think that they kind of look at Saran and they're like, yeah, but that's kind of break glass in case of emergency. He's a special teams guy. He's there for depth. I think that Cam Lewis is that guy. They're like, hell, even Nick McLeod. They got guys still that are kind of hanging there, but it's like,
Thomas
is that CB2?
So Jake, what's your draft philosophy for the first couple of rounds?
So for the first couple rounds, depending, I want to play the board. because what I'm seeing is that, what are you giving up to go? Obviously, I'm sure we've all seen the report that came out that said the Bills are looking to make a major jump up in the draft this year. Whether that's true or not, I don't know, because I told you my philosophy is, if there's a guy who starts to slowly fall, like if there's a Andrew Booth and he's sitting there at 20 or something, because I don't think you're moving all the way up to get Sauce Gardner like that. He's probably going at 4 to the Jets. They've had meetings with, yes. So, I mean, I would love it, but I think like if you get one of those guys who's like maybe the 3rd corner on the board, he's the 4th corner on some people's boards. If he's still sitting there at like 17, 18, 19, you see that, you got those picks, like Jay Spence said, that are probably going to end up being your wild gooses that get picked off by the Jets. Like they're not making the field. So what good is it having that if you kind of know what's going to happen? So if you package those up and you move up and you get that guy, you can feel comfortable in knowing that you got a guy that is going to compete and hopefully significantly upgrade your room until Trey White is able to come back. That's what you hope for. Go ahead.
And then can I say something real quick? I'm sorry. And then when you pull up the Bills schedule, the opponents for this year, we don't have the schedule yet, but you pull up the opponents. So you look at Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers. So that passing attack, right? Yeah. Minnesota, you're talking about Justin Jefferson and Thielen out there, right? Pittsburgh, do they scare you? I'm not sure how scared of Mitch I am, but Claypool is still out there. They got a couple weapons that might scare you, but Cleveland Browns, depending on when this thing happens and how it goes down with Deshaun Watson, you got Deshaun Watson out there with Amari Cooper. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just making my case for cornerback. Yeah. You got the Titans, so you're going against AJ Brown out there. Like, come on. The Jets, okay, not scary. The Patriots, I know as a Bills fan, like we don't give those guys credit, and I know their free agency this year didn't go as planned and all their recruiting, but I tell you what, Mac was not a bad rookie quarterback at all.
No, sir.
So he's going to improve his second year. I don't know how his receivers are going to play out. I don't know if they're going to draft receivers, or I don't know what's going to happen, but I'll tell you what, there's a chance he could be good. The Miami Dolphins twice a year again. Tua, I don't trust him, but guess what? We got Tyreek Hill in this division now. Waddle was a problem last year. If they keep Parker was a problem last year. Like there were games that he just balled against us.
Yeah.
They haven't improved running it. So again, I'm just saying a cornerback I think is really important. We play the Bengals.
Yep.
We play the Bengals. T. Higgins is a problem.
Yeah, he is. Fish hooks and all, he's a problem.
The Rams. We play the Chiefs. So the schedule that we have next year, it's imperative for us to stop passing attacks.
Yeah. And I've brought that up before, and I've had people come back at me before. They're like, but see what they did last year. I understand the scheme is great. It can mask all these deficiencies with players. But when you're playing against guys like that, you can only do it for so long. Like it's a dam waiting to burst open. That's how I see it. It's a hole getting ready to be ripped open. Like I think that corner is imperative. Whether they go out and Von Miller is recruiting a guy like Joe Hayden or something like that. Like, I still think that you need to upgrade that room, because we're going up against some gauntlet of receivers on some of these teams, man. So I think it's imperative. So, yeah, I think that if you can go up and get like an Andrew Booth Jr. without, I don't know what you would have to give up to actually move all the way up the board like some people want us to do to get Sauce, but it's probably too ridiculous. Yeah. So I think that getting a guy like that who, that's a great player. And then, hell, maybe they even double up on it in the second round. They could do that. There's going to be some corners in the second round, too, if they want to do that. Plus, they have the picks to maybe they can upgrade into some of those mid-tier rounds again. And maybe they can go get some of the other players that they're wanting. So I think I would play the board for my draft strategy, but I think corner, it has to be corner. I think it just has to be. In my mind, it has to be corner. With all the signings that we brought in with offensive line and everything. I think corner's that last one where it's like, we got to do something.
Izzy, what's your draft philosophy in all of this?
So personally, I'm a BPA guy, best player available. But corner in the first round would not hurt my feelings at all. It just wouldn't. I like McDuffie. He's a solid corner if he's there. And I would be mad at a pick like that. That's a safe pick. But in the second round, maybe you go corner if you can't find the guy that you really want in the first round. And, there's guys like Tariq Castro-Fields out there who look really nice. Nice, quick guy who's available. There's a lot of solid corners in this draft that you could really go for. Maybe you don't move up in the first. Maybe you move up in the second and go get somebody who's still there. I don't see corner as a big pick in this draft class because there's so many. There's a lot of them. So you might see a lot of the guys that you would technically or typically see as overvalued, like quarterbacks or running backs, go earlier than you think because there just aren't as many.
Yeah.
There's a ton of pass rushers. There's a ton of corners in this draft, which are very valuable usually. But when there's a bevy of those guys in the draft class, you're like, oh, shoot, I can wait till round 2 or 3 to get a pass rusher or corner.
Yeah.
But there's only a couple of linebackers. There's a Chad Muma in the second round, and after that, what is there? I don't know. Maybe it's round 2, Chad Muma for the Bills. Maybe they move up and get him. Maybe they are ready to move up from Tremaine Edmonds. I don't know. But my personal thing is BPA is always important because if that's your philosophy, then you're not going to get tricked by someone's position. And there's always a bunch of other corners, receivers, and linebackers. Well, not this year linebackers, but receivers and corners are huge this year. There's a lot of them out there. So, in other words, there might be a run on those guys early. Like, oh, wow, whoa. Sauce went third. So now this guy and this guy and this guy, and then McDuffie goes, and then you're like, okay, let's take a corner now or not get one. So it really depends on how the draft goes, but I'm comfortable going receiver round 1, corner round 2, guard, or guard, corner receiver, or corner guard receiver. Like those first 3 rounds are full of those 3 positions, and those are our biggest needs. So either way depends on who's still on the board.
So you mentioned that kid from Cincinnati, and
yeah, he's a 4th rounder for me.
But there's a guy from Cincinnati I actually really like, and that's Alec Pierce.
Ooh, oh, thank you. Thank you. I love Alec Pierce.
I swear,
he tore my UCF nights up, man.
Very well.
He is underrated. So I'm personally a Jameson Williams guy.
Is he a 4th or 5th round grade?
I think it's like 3rd.
It's got to be a
3rd guy,
probably around the 4th round, I would say. And
I'm not sure. All I know is the boy is massively underrated. Okay, so I'm a Jameson Williams guy. Person, no offense, but
I like him. I like Jameson Williams. If they take him, I'm not mad at all.
I just think he's flat out the best receiver in the draft. That's what. So if he's at 25, or say he's even at like 20 or something like that, if you trade up, I wouldn't be mad, right?
I'd be mad for trade up.
I wouldn't personally, because I feel like you get a game changer. You get a game changing wide receiver. It's going to be one of the best receivers in the league in 4 years. You won't be mad at it.
If he's there at 50 though, and we trade up to get him, I'm like,
at 50? No,
he won't make it.
To 50. He won't be there at 50, but if he is. If he was,
if he makes it to 25,
I was about to say he might not make it to us.
It really depends on how good the team is that picks him. So there's a lot to go there. Like the Packers aren't picking him; they need somebody now, right?
I think with Jameson Williams, there's going to be a lot of FOMO.
Aaron's got 3 years. You need somebody now, right now.
But they could get him if he's there in the first. They can get him in the first and hold him in that pocket, and then in the second they can double dip and get somebody for now. Like it's absolutely doable.
But the Packers also need pass rush. They need corner. They need linebacker. They lost Zadarius Smith. They lost Marquez Valdes-Scantling, and they lost Devontae. So they really need a lot. The Packers they're not just bleeding.
I mean, but there's other teams there. There's the Chiefs. The Chiefs,
they picked up 2 free agents. They're going to get a receiver, but I doubt they pick somebody who's not going to help them now. I bet they pick somebody who's going to get him.
I think there's a lot of opportunity of places he could go. I'm just saying that I personally think that I would like him, in the first round if we could get him in that 20 to 25 range. But hold on.
If the Chiefs are punting on the season, they could very well do that. If they're punting on the season, saying
I don't think they're punting on the season. I'm not saying they are. I'm saying if they're like, we don't need you this year, or like, look, we're a future team and we need a 50-year option.
and he's there, they'll go for him.
I mean, there's other teams that could take him. I'm just saying I don't think he'll make it that
I
far.
agree.
I'm saying if we could get him in that 20-25 range, I would be happy. Right.
I don't disagree.
But
I'm just saying.
ultimately, I think Brandon Beane is damn good at his job. The fact that he's able to put our team in a position where we have the luxury of just taking the best player available because pretty much everything on our roster is put in place, is a testament to him because, obviously he's the best GM in the league. So you look at that and I'm sure he'll make the right decision in the draft. I'm just saying that if we, weren't able to get a playmaker like that in the first round, like I want Alec Pierce, I feel like would be a really damn good consolation prize, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, in the mid rounds, you're going to be able to get some dudes that if you develop them the way, like Gabe Davis is the perfect example of it. A guy in the mid round that you're able to just let grow in the system. That's what Alec Pierce, the way he plays, reminds me of what Gabe Davis used to do to teams when he was playing here at UCF. So when I see Alec Pierce, I'm like, that's a guy. Whatever team is they're getting a dude who's going to absolutely bully people on the field. And he just, his awareness is absolutely ridiculous. Like, and I love him. Every single time you see him going on the field, he's catching, like when Desmond Ridder could put the ball in the little pocket that he needed, Alec Pierce could grab that thing. So I love that as a mid-round option. But again, I'm standing pat. You said that Brandon Beane has built this roster. Obviously, there's still a month left before we go into the draft.
Yes,
and there's things that could happen. But I'm looking right now, if I'm looking at our roster, I'm going corner. Like that's just what it is. Like
so that is a neat pick. Yeah. It's a neat pick.
That's
that's fine. And I see my thing is I'm not so high on corner as everybody else because I feel like Tre'Davious White will be back at some point. I do think that they like Dane Jackson as a CB2. I really do think that because they were ready to give up on Levi last year. He was like, I'll come back for pennies. I was like, oh, okay. All right, cool. Then this year, they pretty much let him go for essentially pennies. So I think they believe in Dane Jackson. You obviously believe in
pennies for value. Yeah.
And exactly. So, and I feel like cornerback will be a non-issue by the time September comes or whatever. I feel like they'll probably sign another guy because in that second wave of free agency, there's guys who obviously thought their value would be higher. I thought I would make more money. You come to Buffalo, you reset your value, maybe win a championship and look great on film, So I think that it could be the option for some top guys who, just maybe want to take a cheap deal and come win the championship. And then I think Brandon Beane is 100% going to take a quarterback with a top 100 pick this year who can contend, for that CB2 spot. So I'm just not as worried about it so much is because I also think our defensive line got a lot better. With a better defensive line, you has less time for cornerbacks to be covering. We saw where our secondary was the number one secondary in the league with our star corner injured, the best player on our defense injured, and they continue to be number one. So I think the scheme put in place is pretty good, and then you put that with a great defensive line that can now make the linebackers great as well. That's why I expect a big season from Tremaine Edmonds this year. He finally won't have guards and centers running at him full speed. I think that it's just gonna. I don't think cornerback will be such a liability as we've seen in the past. But speaking of how rosters are constructed, we've obviously seen the AFC go completely ballistic with making the rosters better and competing for a AFC championship. The NFC looks absolutely trash. Every great player seems like it's playing in the AFC, right?
Hang on.
So,
Justice,
what?
I'm going to interject with you for a second because this is something that Jay Spence and I will be able to really relate to. Is that now the Bills can go after BPA because we're the Bills, right? At this point in time, we can go. I mean, we can go Jameson Williams if we want because we're the Bills. Like we don't really need necessarily of anything. Dane Jackson maybe CB1 for the first 6 weeks, but because we brought in Von Miller, Shaq Lawson, Jordan Phillips, and these guys to be able to rush the passer, we may not need a corner as bad as we thought we did. And now that we have Josh Allen playing at the level he is, we may not need a receiver to play right now. It's not a necessity necessarily because of the players that are also on the roster. Whereas back when the Bills had to sign players out of need because we needed everything. We had to draft players out of need, and we had to sign free agents at a high value because we needed Mario Williams because we didn't have a roster. So Jay Spence can attest to this, but now that we're the Bills, we don't need to do anything. Everybody got to catch up to us now.
I still think
now
we
it's
need a corner.
I don't
I was
disagree.
gonna say, I
don't
agree
need
with you
corner.
almost. Like I'm with you with what you're saying, but we need a corner.
So Xavier Rhodes and Joe Hayden are still out there.
That's
one of them. You can go up there, pick one of them up, and you don't need a damn thing.
Well, I said Brandon Beane would address it, and
he tried to get Patrick Peterson, and Patrick Peterson took the Vikings deal.
I'm good on Patrick Peterson.
I wanted Patrick Peterson because he's a good zone guy at this point in his career.
I'm straight on Patrick Peterson.
At this point in his career, he's not a man guy. He used to be a man guy all the way.
I personally just was good on Patrick Peterson, but ultimately, what I was saying was, I think Brandon Beane will address the cornerback position in the draft as well as after the draft. And also, what I was saying is that the development of said drafted cornerback will be at a good pace because our defensive line is now, perceivably great, and they will make the entire defense better. So that's all I was saying.
Yeah, I don't say we don't need anybody either. I'm saying, but it's not a need like it used to be.
Well, hold on, guys. You're right. We gotta move on to the next topic real quick.
We gotta. Do you mind if I just sprinkle a little bit on here, because I know what you're saying is that we don't really need anything, and I think that the only thing that we need is Brandon Beane doesn't like having that philosophy going into the draft. So that's what makes me 100% confident that the only thing we need is to get a corner before the draft so that we can have your philosophy in the draft and not need anything.
Bingo. You're on it. You got it.
That's it.
All right. So, like you said, a whole bunch of AFC teams have really bolstered their rosters in order to compete for an AFC championship. And it looks like there's a lot of really teams that are, competitive and can actually do it, can represent the AFC in the Super Bowl this year. Jay Spence, who do you think is the front runner in that? And who do you think is give me your top 3 AFC teams?
Are we including the Bills in this conversation?
Absolutely.
Okay. So
absolutely.
So,
and don't call it bias. Be real. Because I know what you want to say, so say it. Absolutely.
No, I'm gonna be real. I think, honest to God, I think the Bills are the best team in the league. I know we lost when we lost in the playoffs, but I think where we were and what you saw from that team, the step that Josh Allen took, Josh just took the next step to elite quarterback play. Like the last few games that we saw from him, he was just on point, just money, and he's gonna be like that. So we took a step forward there. We brought in Von Miller to get to the quarterback, and so I think we were the team. If we were to beat the Chiefs, I just have this feeling that we really would have won a Super Bowl. So when you have a team like that, and then you add a Von Miller, and you add a Tim Settle, and you add, we're adding these guys that can really get to the quarterback, and the Bills' philosophy is still going to keep guys fresh. So we're going to be there in the playoffs, and I think the Bills are it. After that, if I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think Tyreek Hill moves the needle as much as people want it to when it comes to Kansas City. In games without Tyreek Hill, Patrick Mahomes is 4-1, and he averaged over 320 yards per game. So it's not as if Tyreek Hill being gone is all of a sudden going to make Patrick Mahomes this bum of a quarterback. And then in that third spot, it's and they're going to draft somebody. I can guarantee you within the first 3 rounds, they're going to draft a receiver. He may not be Tyreek Hill, but they're going to draft. And Juju isn't washed. He signed. Juju is not washed. I'm just saying.
No, don't say that to Justice. He tried to flame my ass last week for saying they got Juju and MVS.
I'm flaming Juju. Not flaming you.
I get it.
I'm Juju.
I know. No, and Juju, he's not a game he's not Stephon Diggs. But what I'm saying is when you pair guys with the Patrick Mahomes, with the Josh Allen, they have career years. You go back and you look at Robert Foster, he ain't even in the league no more. He might be on a practice squad. Career year with Josh Allen. Oh, is he? Oh.
He's with Giants now.
See, okay. Career year with the Bills. You know what I mean? And you look at other players. We can go John Brown, career year with the Bills. So what I'm saying is when you put guys like that he was with Ben. Ben ain't got no arm. The AB was there, so he's more of a wide receiver too. He's going to get out there. They're going to draft a guy potentially to be their number one wide receiver, and he's going to eat. I'm going to tell you right now. I know we don't like him because of the TikTok thing, and he's silly with all of this stuff. He going to eat out there with Patrick Mahomes. So they're number 2 for me. And then 3 is tough. It's a toss-up for me. That whole division there, that AFC West, is super, super tough. And for me, it's going to be between the Chargers and the Raiders, man. The Raiders are scary. The Raiders are so scary. They had the pieces last year. It was a lot of crap that went on, everything from John Gruden to, players getting arrested for, just everything. Like there were so many different things going on. So I just think there was too much. But I think now you get Devontae Adams. You get Devontae Adams to pair with, come on, man. Like it's just not even fair with the type of routes that are about to be ran in Vegas. Like, it's just not even fair. Then I think Josh Jacobs, he's not a Jonathan Taylor caliber of player, but I think he's like that next step below it, which when you have a passing attack, you got the right type of receivers, that is enough. If the Buffalo Bills had a Josh Jacobs, which I think the Bills do now, like I think what we saw from Devin Singletary at the end of the season puts us there. But I'm saying in the past, if we've had the production that Josh Jacobs gave the Raiders, Buffalo Bills fans would be beside ourselves because that's what we want. So I think I'm a lean Raiders 3. I think the Raiders scare me the most. The addition to Chandler Jones, they're doing the same thing the Bills did. Exact same thing. They went and got their Stephon Diggs with Adams. They went and got now the Von Miller. They got Chandler Jones. Dude.
And Crosby's still there.
Yeah, they got Max Crosby on
there. Yeah. Boy. Crosby's
and I didn't even mention Darren Waller on offense. They're stacked, man. And so it all comes down to quarterback play, just like with the Bills. Josh had to prove it.
How's their line?
I think Josh. I'm sorry.
How's their offensive line?
Good. They just added. They made an addition. Yeah, they're pretty good. I think that division's it works for the Bills because they're going to beat themselves up.
Exactly.
You got 4 teams because now Russ is there too with the Broncos. So you got teams, they're going to split. So it's going to be where you're going to have 9-7 records, 10 and or not 9-7, 9-8 records, 10-7 records because you have to. Being in a division like that.
Because here's why I don't know is because they're gonna beat each other up, but they're still gonna play some soft teams out there. Like they're gonna play other teams outside of the division. The division's strong, but their opponents might not be. So they may see teams like exactly. You might want to look up what divisions they play. Maybe they play the NFC East and the freaking AFC South this year. Yeah, they may all go 11. They all win 11 and plus, and all 4 go to the playoffs. You never know.
I'm gonna tell you what, they have a very, very similar schedule to us. They're playing against the Bucks, the Bengals, the Cardinals, the 49ers, the Colts, the Chargers, the Raiders, the Broncos, the Seahawks. No more, right? The Rams.
Okay, so they get the NFC West. Okay.
Yeah. So
one of those NFC games. One of those NFC games is not gonna be the same as ours because we don't play the NFC West this year. We played them last year, right? So we see one of those teams. I think it is, and then we have the NFC. Huh?
NFC North this year.
We have the NFC North
this year, Vikings, Lions.
So we get one team from the West Bears. Because of the last NFC division we played, but they're gonna have another NFC division that we do.
They got 3 gifts. They got the 3 gifts. They're supposed to beat the Jaguars. They're supposed to beat Seattle this year. Losing Russ, they're going to move backwards and everything. They're not going to be as good. And they got the Texans. But I'm going to tell you what, the rest of the schedule is not a cakewalk. So you have a 14 game schedule that they're going to have to come out and they're playing the Bills.
So hang on. Now that you mentioned that, the Chiefs may have the hardest schedule of them all because they have to play the Bills and
that's what I'm reading. Yeah,
and the Titans.
Yeah, they got that first place schedule.
The Chiefs may not win first place just based on those 3 games alone. That's 3 games that they may not win.
And that's what I'm saying. You got those 3 games. So those are 3 games right there. And then this division just leveled up. You got the Raiders twice. So that's 5 games. You got Russell Wilson twice. That's 7 games. Then you got my man out there in LA twice.
This is why the King is on point.
So I'm just saying they're going to beat each other up, that whole division. So you're going to see the 9 and 8s. You're going to see, and it's going to suck because the teams are going to be talented enough to beat 13 and 4.
Yeah.
So, see, my thing is, all right, I'm gonna get my top 3 real quick because I kind of feel like there's a team that some people are like, I think they're going to be good, but there's a lot of people I feel like are sleeping on this team. Everybody in the AFC West is scary. I personally think the Chiefs moved to fourth in that division without Tyreek Hill personally, because I think Tyreek Hill is the most dangerous football player in the NFL. Sure. Not named Josh Allen. Like, he can literally score at any moment, in any game, at any time. It's just,
he's got supernatural speed.
He literally makes people play different defenses just because he's on the field. So I think he's the most dangerous weapon in the NFL. And I think without that scaring the hell out of people, I think it takes that offense down a notch. I still think, Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback since Josh Allen. And I think he's going to be able to make it work with whoever he has. But on paper, at least, I'll say that team looks like it's the fourth best, most talented roster, in my opinion. But of course, championship caliber, culture, all that matters. And, the Broncos don't have that yet. The Chargers most certainly don't have that. And the Raiders definitely don't have it. So, the Chiefs have it. We'll see, what they continue to do, because the other people got to prove it. But I think the Colts, right? I think the Colts are really like the X factor here. I think the Colts could be anywhere from maybe like seed 1 to like seed 7. I truly believe that, because you take that roster, what they had, like, I mean, obviously it won't be the same exact roster, but you still got your Jonathan Williamses, your Quentin Nelson in that offensive line. You still got your Darius Leonards, and I think they got Rockets in now, if I'm not mistaken. I think that
the Colts sent away.
They were basically
Rockison.
They sent them away. Okay,
yeah, and they got Yannick Ngakoue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now you got your defensive line is mostly a little bit.
I need to see who they draft though. They need receivers in a bad way.
They do.
Yeah, they got Michael Pittman though.
Okay.
Michael Pittman.
No. When I said okay, I wasn't saying it in a disrespectful manner to him.
It was like okay.
You got Pittman. Who else?
Exactly.
People like
T.Y. if he's okay.
No, God, no.
Is T.Y. a free agent still right now?
I think he's a free
agent.
I don't
care.
Right
He's not a threat on that offense anymore.
It's time for him to, all respect to him. It's time for him to kind of move on. But people think Paris Campbell is going to take a step forward. He may.
I agree.
He may.
If he can stay healthy.
As of right now, if
with Matt Ryan, possible.
And then, I mean, are we scared of Mo Alley Cox at tight end?
No.
Are we scared of, so it's not bad.
With Matt Ryan, see, that's my thing, though. That's my thing. That's what I was about to get into. You had that roster last year that looked dangerous as hell. Nobody wanted to play them going into the playoffs. It was running on everybody, right? It was just there was just open season for Jonathan Taylor, right? So now you mix that with a guy who doesn't think, or who's trying to be Superman still and relive his prime years that he did in Philadelphia. You take that away, and you have an actual elite game manager in Matt Ryan, a guy who you know exactly what you're going to get from Matt Ryan. That guy is going to take his 3-step drop, stand in the pocket, pat the football a couple times, and deliver the football somewhere. That's it. That's all you get from Matt Ryan.
That's all the Colts needed last year, man.
Exactly. So
make a goddamn
good game manager who wasn't going to make mistakes and put them in bad positions.
Way too much. Exactly.
Way too much.
You get Matt Ryan, a former MVP, just a couple years ago, to be honest. I mean, the Falcons obviously fell off a cliff since that, but Matt Ryan still continued to be a really good quarterback, so I think you put him on the Colts. You say, I mean, with Tom Brady, you never freaking know anymore. But, I'd say Matt Ryan probably got 2-3 years left in him to be a pretty good quarterback. I think that Colts roster is championship worthy, at least contenders. And you put a good game managing quarterback back there. I think they have a really good shot to win a lot of games this year.
I definitely think they're. I was just going to say, I definitely think they're playoff contenders easily. I think they win that division. It's just I think they're probably like the 4th seed. I think they're going to get their home field for their first game, and then we'll see what happens after that, because what their defense is right now, I'm not entirely sure if they're going to be able to put up all those points with some of these teams out there. That's just
the thing. Yeah. I look at them as a playoff contender, but I don't look at them as a championship contender. So anytime you got a Jonathan Taylor on your team, it's not every team that you can say the running game will actually win you games.
Yeah.
There you can say it. Like, it's different. They're
He's
what
gonna get
Rex
paid.
Ryan wanted to be. Yeah, he's gonna get super paid.
Oh,
And they're what Rex Ryan wanted to be. Punch you in the mouth with the run game, play exceptional defense. That's what they are. And if Matt Ryan gets a few, because you're right, he's still an accurate passer. He's still smart with the football. He's still a game manager. He's not going to ruin it for you. I know we all get our jokes off about the 28-3, and we get the jokes off about all this stuff. But Matt Ryan is Matt Ryan. So you give him some receivers. Paris Campbell takes that step forward, like we're talking about, or maybe you're right. Mo Alley Cox looks like a good tight end with a good quarterback. Maybe.
Good.
No, I mean, no, but I'm saying maybe. But you got Jonathan Taylor, and when you have that, I look at Jonathan Taylor. I know it's a different position. It's running back versus quarterback. But when you have elite level superstar guys on your team, you have a Jonathan Taylor on offense. You got a Josh Allen on offense. You got a Tyreek Hill, like you mentioned, on offense. You have certain types of guys, Deebo Samuel. I think those guys are elite in ways that you just get them the ball. You make sure the ball is in their hands in crucial situations, and you always have a chance to win. I saw Jonathan Taylor out here, man. Yeah, they do. And I saw him out here in Arizona, and he just everything. I think it was like the Thanksgiving game, if I'm not mistaken, or Christmas. Everything that they tried to do to stop the offense, it didn't matter because Jonathan Taylor just punched through it. Like, it didn't matter. Josh Allen, there was nothing that the number 2 ranked defense in the league in New England Patriots could do against Josh Allen in the playoffs or in the last weeks of the season. There was nothing you could do with that. The Buffalo Bills, top ranked defense. There's nothing you could do with Patrick Mahomes. And I know it hurts and we hate to say it, but guess what? They couldn't stop Josh either. Sometimes it just comes down to you're going against a superstar, transcendent player who's going to just punch you in the mouth, and you got to eat it. It is what it is. There's years that guys who were superstars couldn't win a championship because Jordan was in the league. Deal with it. It is what it is.
Yep.
To your point, that's exactly how I feel about Tyreek Hill. People are like, oh, the defense is sorry, and I'm like, I think our defense is still good. They just ran into Tyreek Hill, who's a generational, like, that speed doesn't come across your face.
You're right.
To be fair, Hill only beat us like one real time in that game.
But that's what I'm saying. That right there, his talent outweighed our entire defense's talent. Like, that's just the type of player he is. I mean, that was a big play in the game.
Levi couldn't catch him. Milano couldn't catch him. Dane couldn't
Levi
catch him.
was on him like glue. And then as soon as he caught it, it was over.
Yeah,
it was over.
It wasn't Gorilla Glue. It was just glue. It was Elmer's.
But again, you're missing the variable. Patrick Mahomes was the one delivering that football.
Oh, yeah. It was a perfect
Tua, on time.
But can Tua make that throw?
No, absolutely not.
Okay. So
in the short,
you're going to have
maybe.
to go ahead. My bad.
In the short, maybe Tua can make that throw, but Tua's not covering up downfield, so you're not worried about the downfield with Tua. You're worried about the short.
It's not even
just
the downfield.
That throw was like 15, 20 yards on the end route.
That's 20 yards. Tua can do 20 yards.
Yeah, Tua can do 20.
He can't do 40, 50 yards.
He can do 20. No, he can do 20, but he can't do 20 on a rope. That was a throw. That was a throw. So when I say can Tua make it was, there's only 4 guys maybe in the league that can make that throw.
Rodgers,
and Tua's not one of them.
Mahomes and
I'm gonna say Herbert. Yeah, I'm gonna say Herbert can make that throw. So when you look at it that way, and then you put him down there with Tua, okay, now they're gonna use him like Deebo Samuel. Okay, is he built like Deebo Samuel?
No.
Do you think this guy is going to be healthy all year, getting beat up like a running back? I don't know. Maybe he is.
He's not a bruiser like Deebo.
He's not. Maybe they run some quick slants to get him the ball. I don't know.
I see him. I see Tyreek Hill to Deebo like I see Lamar Jackson to Josh Allen. Like, Josh can take those hits, but Lamar can't take those hits.
Lamar maybe Josh taking them.
I don't want him either, but like you know, he can take them. Whereas
I don't know, but you saw what happened to Cam. That's the only reason why I'm saying it. Like,
he had a car accident. Yeah, he had a real. Like, I live here in North Carolina. That the news coverage of that was huge. Like, he had a truck accident. His truck flipped the hell over, and he still played that week. Sit down, Cam.
He
chill.
injured his back after that, though. I know he had like a slip.
He hurt his back in that accident. He still played. Yeah. Like, Cam's like, don't take Superman's cape, and I'm like, bro, put the cape down.
Superman need to sit down.
Right.
Let me ask you one more question too. Oh, my bad. Go ahead.
No, give me, because I had really nothing else to say after that.
Well, let me ask you this: who do you think, Tua or Baker is better?
Baker.
Wash.
Baker.
Easily.
Okay, so
Baker's
we're saying
Baker higher.
Okay, we're saying, but and I know now, I know it's not apples to apples because it's different schemes, different coaches, everything, right? I get it. But Baker got Jarvis Landry, Odell Beckham Jr., David Njoku. He had Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb. He had Austin
great
Hooper,
offensive line.
very great
yeah.
offensive line. Very great offensive line.
And a good defense.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna say that Tua is not even as good as Baker, and Baker bombed with that team, why am I gonna
What did I say? I told you he lives in my head. I said this a couple weeks ago. I said, "Oh, that just makes Tua the new Baker." Like you give him a superstar wide receiver in his prime.
To me, Baker was hurt last year.
Time.
To me, Baker was hurt last year.
Baker was buns the year before that.
He was all right the year before that. His first year was
rookie
very good.
year.
His second year was pretty bad. His third year was good, and his fourth year was bad. So
His third year where they played the easiest schedule in the league.
Wait,
true.
Wait, but also let's give it some context. Go back and look at his stats. The games that they won, the running game had over 115 yards on the ground.
Yeah,
they didn't win the game because of Baker. So when we say he played well, so he managed the game. He's the number 1 overall pick.
To be fair, we're not comparing Baker to Josh. We're comparing him to Tua.
No, that's my point, though. But that's my point.
Overall pick.
He's the number 1 overall pick in the draft.
Thank you.
And you have those guys. You saw what Odell Beckham Jr. was when he went to the Rams. He wasn't the problem that everybody made him in Cleveland.
Exactly.
He just wasn't. So when you look at Odell Beckham,
I think it's a fit problem versus
it could be fit. It could be fit, but what I'm saying, right? It's a quarterback
problem.
Baker
be a fit.
Baker
overall
just wasn't the guy. Deshaun Watson, I'm telling you, every weapon that they have there now is going to look like a completely different player.
But
David Njoku was about to be that guy.
But we can compare Deshaun to Josh. We can't compare Deshaun or Josh to Baker. We can't do it. It's not possible.
So, but my point in everything that we're saying here, Tyreek Hill is that guy, but who's going to get him the ball? And if they're going to use him as a running back and they're going to use him in ways that exposes him to bigger hits, I just don't see him lasting.
At this point, I agree with you. We're not in disagreement here at all. I'm with you here.
Well, I just don't think that I don't think that there's anything that Tua can. There's nothing that Tua has shown me to make me nervous by any means about the Dolphins.
Thank you. I love that. That's why I've held off on going out and being like, oh, the Dolphins are going to be so much better this year. It's just because we've seen plenty of times where quarterbacks like there's rare occasions where you got guys like Jimmy G, who again is better than Tua, better they're able to still get it done when they have weapons around them, right? But it's like
I was in the spaces with 49ers fans, and they're telling me that Tua is better than Jimmy. You get what I'm saying? So it just listen. I'm not saying that. I'm telling you that 49ers fans, they just had him.
Yeah, the guy who went to a Super Bowl and went to an NFC Championship game is not as good.
That's what they're saying.
Can't make the playoffs.
Yeah, and that's why I hold off judgment, because I think it all at the end of the day comes down to who's under center. And we saw what happened with Baker not being able to take advantage of the weapons that he had. And I sure as hell don't think Tua is going to be able to. While I think Tyreek Hill is going to help maybe him improve a little bit, I don't think it's going to be to the level that a bunch of people think it is, because Tua to Tyreek Hill is going to be nothing like Patrick Mahomes to Tyreek Hill. It's just it's night and day. It's not going to be the same thing. So everybody just kind of thinks that now Tua is going to be throwing those things on ropes. That's just not the quarterback he is. It's not.
You know what? That's a good point, because when I said earlier that Tyreek Hill is a generational talent, I missed the piece. Okay, Tyreek Hill plus Patrick Mahomes. That is all time.
Their skill sets,
so now
dude, it matched. That's what
exactly. So you take half of that away. Exactly. You take half of that away, and I think it completely changed. It makes both parties worse. Not that Patrick Mahomes is going to be bad. Not that Tyreek Hill is going to be bad.
Mahomes is going to miss him as much as he's going to miss Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
He's going to miss him.
I agree.
No.
Yeah.
Not
he's going to miss
him. But exactly. He's going to miss him.
He's going to miss him, but it's not going to be, like I said, no, I don't think that they replaced him. Like it's Tyreek Hill. You're not going to get a guy that quick. That's just going to replace him. But what I'm saying is it's a lot easier to replace the production of Tyreek Hill than it is to replace the production of Patrick Mahomes.
That is 100% a fact.
You know, it just is. So,
Dude,
so when
people
we're
are trying to
talking about
replace that
sending
all
him
the
down
time.
there, yeah, it's impossible to just, all right, we're going to grab a guy off the street and do that. No, you can't. And you're going down to Miami, and granted, they're what the Buffalo Bills were a few times. Like, I feel like we had rosters in the past where we were just looking for that quarterback, you know, and we didn't get it. But they have two very, very good receivers, a very, very good tight end, an improved running game, a good defense, a good decent offensive line. But guess what? Tua is that question. And you know, you can say, hey, at Alabama, Tua was that dude. Okay, you're right. He was at Alabama. He was that dude.
the best recruiting school in the country.
Team with the best guards, tackles, centers,
and the best
everything,
the best player at every position.
Everything was.
I was going to go through the whole bevy of positions and hope not to be interrupted, but I knew I would be, so I just kind of stopped.
Because they have the best everything.
Yeah, everything.
Everything.
The best punter.
Best coach ever. But
just, I mean, everything.
You know, to your point, Jay Spence, you look at the Miami Dolphins, how they are now. They finally get a good roster, a decent roster, a really good roster, to be fair.
Really?
Like, of course, the AFC has loaded up, and that kind of reminds me of the time the Bills went 9-7, and that happened to be the one year that 10-6 is what got you into the playoffs. But you know, I kind of see the parallel there. But speaking of Tyreek Hill, the reason I think it might have been speaking of Tyreek Hill, the reason that he had to leave Kansas City was because of money, right? We watched Christian Kirk just absolutely disrupt the entire balance of the NFL. And so before we get into final thoughts tonight, let's go ahead and kind of give our urgency level on, or really like how, like what, if you're on like 1 to 10, right? And 10 is like, I'm scared crapless. Like, I don't know what the hell is about to happen right now. How scared are you for Stephon Diggs' contract and his extension, Izzy?
I'm not scared at all. I think it's going to happen either this offseason after the draft or next year as soon as the season's over, possibly even during this year. Diggs has nothing to worry about. He's going to get paid barring injury. And that's just it. Barring injury or we draft a wide receiver in the first round, he's going to get re-signed. Outside of that, the dude has no worries. He's going to get paid. He deserves to get paid. He's earned it. He was the number one receiver in 2020. He was top 5 2021. And he was only top 5 in 2021 because he took all the doubles and the other receivers got to eat because he was the guy they had to double every game.
Yes, sir.
Because of that, Knox had 9 touchdowns this year. Because of that, McKenzie had a beast-ass game against the Patriots this year. Because of that, Beasley had a sneaky-ass year with like 84 catches. Because everybody had to double Diggs, everybody else was one-on-one. And what are you going to do? You're gonna let Diggs eat? No, you can't let Diggs eat. And at times, he's still fucking ate. You're still going to have that guy go out there and kill people, even though they double him. He's going to kill 2 people. You're going to make it a double homicide on some games, right? And Diggs going to go out there and do what he got to do. And in some games like the Patriots game, the other guy is going to get 4 touchdowns and 200 goddamn yards against a team that could have been in the Super Bowl and probably could have won that thing if they got past the Bengals. To me, the 2 best teams in this league this past year didn't make the Super Bowl, and that's the Bills and the Chiefs. To me, that game was the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And
unfortunately,
call it what you want.
But certainly it was the AFC Championship game.
How many shows do you see talking about the Super Bowl versus the Bills versus Chiefs?
Exactly.
How many
Nobody talking about
see, like that? Those were the best 2 teams in the NFL, and you could argue the Bills wore them out enough for the next week. Like the Bengals.
It was the best game of the whole offseason.
No. Let's not count to that. Let's not count to that. Okay, the Chiefs was blowing the Bengals out in the first half, and they had a meltdown.
They were, but
if
they're exhausted from the week before, you never know. It could have. It could not have.
I think the Bengals just made some great adjustments in the
Chiefs
overestimated. Chiefs couldn't adjust. Yeah, but
still,
Spence, how worried are you about the Stephon Diggs contract?
Like, are you at like is it 0 to 10 or 1 to 10?
Let's go 0 to 10.
0.
I'm gonna say 0. You know, I'm gonna say negative 0.
My man, let's go.
Like it's one of those things where I feel like it's gonna happen this offseason. It's gonna be the thing that both of you, Jake and Justice, said early on. they're still going to add in free agency. They're going to add a veteran cornerback. And when they do that, they're going to have to open up a little bit more cap. And the way they're going to do that, they're going to extend Stephon Diggs. They're going to give him the money he deserves. It's going to open up the salary cap for this year. They're going to be able to fit in either Joe Hayden or whoever's out there. I'm not saying it is Joe.
Xavier
I don't have the insider information. Maybe Xavier Rhodes. But they're going to bring in some depth for cornerback. So when that happens, Diggs is going to get paid. He's not I saw a rumor on Twitter the other day that he requested to go to the Panthers. I saw that he was traded today to the Cowboys. I saw
April Fool's jokes are so stupid.
We are like this close.
How about them uniforms?
Like, really, we're like this close to a Super Bowl, like that close. It would be counterproductive to sign Von Miller, counterproductive to sign Tim Settle. It would be counterproductive to load up on the defensive line and to sign a all-pro left guard and to make all these changes and to do everything that we're doing in order to take that next step forward if we're only going to get rid of our most dangerous offensive weapon. If you're not going to trade for Devontae Adams, it's not happening. If you're not going to trade for Tyreek Hill, not happening. Guess what? You're not trading Stephon Diggs away. So I'm not like, I mean, when you ask how worried I am, it's just like I almost want to sleep and snore in the mic because it's like it's just not going to happen. Like it's not. Yeah, 100.
Jake, how you feel?
The only reason why I'm gonna actually say a number of 2 is because I'm sure Stephon's agent is the one who's sitting there and actually has some sort of worry. I don't think Stephon does it all. They've already said, and Brandon Beane has said that he has a good relationship with Stephon. They talk. Obviously, they've probably talked about the extension. Yeah, all these guys are getting paid, but it's not really as important. Like, it's important to get him paid, but as of right now, I have no doubt in my mind that they're going to pay Stephon Diggs. And like Spence said, it's counterproductive to do it. I mean, or to not do it. So it's like, why would you not do it? Because one, it frees up money. You have him locked up, your number one weapon. And then that allows you the freedom to bring in other guys. Say you don't want to pay Gabe Davis in a couple of years, right? Maybe they don't want to do that. But you can develop somebody else and they step into that role, but you still have Stephon Diggs. Because as long as Stephon Diggs is there, everybody else can develop and they can eat because that's what he does to the offense. He brought it up. He's like, I know what my role is in some of these games. I'm there to help free up other guys. Gabe Davis doesn't have a 4-touchdown game in the playoffs if Stephon Diggs not on the field there. Like, that's what happens. So Diggs is going to get paid. I'm not very concerned about it. I think it's going to happen this offseason. If not, Diggs is going to play on this year, and then they'll maybe make him the highest paid next year, and then they can put that out there. So,
and I'll tell you what, he wants to be here. Like, you also have to factor in the fact, like, wide receivers aren't dumb. There's a reason why. I know they try to create the narrative as to what the reasons were. There's a reason why he wanted out of Minnesota. There's a reason why Odell Beckham Jr. wanted away from Cleveland after he figured out that the quarterback couldn't get the ball out. There's a reason why nobody's scared of the fact that Tua has new weapons, because it's Tua. Exactly, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to be funny or mean here, but what I'm saying is, like, Steph understands, I struck gold as a wide receiver. I can really put up gold jacket numbers.
It's a luxury if I stay in Buffalo. It's a luxury to have a quarterback like that.
It's not just that, but here's another thing about Stephon Diggs. Stephon Diggs' primary trait is not speed. Right? What's the first thing that all players what's the number one thing that people lose as they get older is speed. Stephon Diggs' number one trait is not speed, it's route running. It's the ability to make technique. Technique. He's a technical player. He's not the fastest wide receiver in the NFL. He's that guy who will make you think he's going one way and he's going the other, and he's gonna make you look stupid. He's gonna point at you and laugh at you afterwards. He's that guy who's going to do that. He's not going to outrun you. He's that guy who's going to
outrun you too.
He will outrun you right now for a touchdown. But if he
does, like, sneaky fast.
At that point in time, he's going to outrun you for a first down rather than a touchdown in his older years. He's the guy who's going to put a move on you that you don't know about because he just invented that shit last week. He saw you on tape. He's like, oh, you bite to this. So I'm going to do this plus this, and now you're going to eat that, and I'm going to eat off you. That's Diggs. That's what he does.
And the connection that he has with Josh is going to know, he's going to do this and then do that.
Josh is a student of the game that you cannot believe. Josh is not only evolving physically but mentally. And it's because he's so goddamn smart. He's not just a bruiser quarterback who's going to run up the middle and take out your cornerback or safety because he decided you're going to make a business decision and I'm going to make it for you. Here you go. You're at the game now. He's not just that guy. Josh is mental as hell, and Diggs is too.
And see, you know what, to that point, I think that's the reason why I'm excited about this year's offense more so than the last 2 years, because with Brian Daboll leaving and now, we're giving Ken Dorsey this opportunity, is going to be great. He's going to be a successful offensive coordinator because I think it's time now. Like, I think this next step is where Josh, I'm not already please don't take this wrong. Whoever's listening or watching this, I'm not putting him on the same level as Peyton Manning, but it's time for him to take over the offense like a Peyton Manning, like a Tom Brady, like that's
Aaron
the next
Rodgers.
step to be an Aaron Rodgers. Like, so now where the offense is in your control, there's not a play in the playbook that Josh doesn't like. That's how it should be. That's how it should be. So, so now if Josh takes that step forward like that, and you got that mental aspect of the game, bro, there's nowhere that Steph did. Like what we saw in that game against the Chiefs. Like, yeah, I know we're heartbroken because we lost 13 seconds overtime. I get it. The coin toss. You always say heads. I know, right? All of that stuff. Listen, what we saw from our quarterback, if you can take the heartbreak out of it, if you can remove the sting for a second and get over the 13 seconds and just look at the game. You look at that game and you look at what Josh Allen showed us that game. Then you go back a week and you look at what Josh Allen did against the Patriots, where he had more touchdowns than incompletions. Like this is the quarterback that we have in Buffalo.
Right.
Like, this is our guy.
He wants to be here.
He wants to be. Yeah. So when you pair, like, Stephon Diggs ain't asking to go to the Panthers, who don't even know who's going to start at quarterback this year.
That's
You know
facts.
what I mean? Like, they got Sam Darnold. Right.
Watson.
They fought for Deshaun Watson. They're still in talks with Cam Newton again to come back. Like, they don't even know what they're going to do. So it's like, come on, man. Like, he ain't going there. You think he's going to, all respect to Dak Prescott, you think he wants to go to Dallas over Buffalo with Josh Allen?
No.
Come on, man. No. Come on, man.
He's gonna make his money either way, so he'll be fine.
I like that.
To stay here, play with a great quarterback, win your money, and win some championships. But final question before we go to final thoughts, Jake. Quick response: is Gabriel Davis a budding star/superstar?
Yes. I think that just the years that he's had behind some of the players that we've had in here has helped him grow his technique to the point to where Gabe Davis is wide receiver 1 on like 85% of the teams in this league. That's just what it is. You don't think so?
That's a little bit of a hot take.
That's aggressive.
A little bit of a hot take. Your bias is showing.
We will have to go through the teams, but hold on. Let me ask you this: are you saying this coming season he'll play better than 85% of the number 1 receivers in the league?
I would say in the NFC probably playing because there's no number 1 receivers really out there. But I think maybe when you got Los Angeles, but you looking at everybody else, you're like, I don't know.
It's them in Washington because McLaurin's the truth.
McLaurin's the truth.
The truth.
Yeah, I think. Okay, so maybe 85 is a little more
nasty. No, that's about right. Because if you
we'll see the numbers,
and then you go everybody else, I'm with you there. Metcalf maybe, but they don't have a quarterback, so yeah, I'm kind of with you there a little bit.
And plus, we don't know how he'll play this season, so
we don't know how we'll play this season. But I'm pretty sure you say I'm pretty sure he's going to be pretty good this season.
So you said yes to being a budding star/superstar. So that
means... I think he's a budding star, superstar. What are your qualifications for superstar? Like, I'm sure there's
D-Hop, Diggs, Cup.
Yeah, D-Hop, Diggs, Cup. I don't know. I think he really benefits on having like a really good quarterback, obviously, in Josh Allen. I think that
really number 1 opposite of him.
Yeah, exactly. But I still think you just were able to see the windows that he was still catching at the end of the game. There were 3-4 dudes right there, and he was still catching that ball. Didn't matter because Josh Allen he's undefeated. Like, I'm sure there's plenty of other wide receiver 2s in the league that if that ball was thrown to them in that same thing, they might not have caught. So
absolutely,
who knows?
And to your point, look at this offense.
I think that Gabe Davis is still
growing.
Yeah.
I was just saying to your point, look at this offense, and he could very well repeat those numbers and be like you said a budding star, superstar, whatever the case may be.
He's made history in the playoffs as a wide receiver with a number of touchdowns. He had 1 game, so
absolutely.
There you go.
There you go. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get into final thoughts for tonight. April Fool's edition. What is the worst April Fool's joke that you've seen today or that has happened to you in person? Let's start off with Izzy.
That uniform the Bills put out with the fucking.
You didn't like it?
I
love the uniform, but I didn't buy it because it was like
they need to put that logo on a shirt.
I was so
would
confused.
buy it.
That shit was tough, though. That shit was tough.
I love the uniform. The black with the red and the orange. It was clean. Like, yo, if that's our backup uniform for real,
Yeah,
I was thinking like
needs
this
to be
came out of so left field. I was like,
once
is
I
this for
saw
real?
the chicken wings for a logo, I was like, that's April Fool's.
That's
bro.
what somebody said. They said it was
Like,
made out
NFL
of real
wouldn't allow
chicken
that.
wings and ranch. I was like, okay, that's a joke.
and
It's
it said
chicken
ranch
with
at
blue
that.
cheese.
Look, bro, it's ranch. Get the hell out of here. Most of
It's
y'all like
chunky blue
most
cheese.
people-
It had lumps.
I'm like, I'm sorry, but that once I said ranch, that's April Fool's
Yeah, it
all
was
the
a
way.
dead giveaway. Yeah,
I love the uniform. It was a nice uniform. The letters were clean. The stripes on it were clean. Like it reminded me of one of those uniforms in college that you're like, oh snap, they got new unis and they're clean. What?
it reminded me of Meme Machine.
Yeah, it was, dude. I was like, I don't believe it, but if they wore it, I wouldn't be mad.
Yeah,
Kind of deal.
Yeah. All right, Jay Spence, what was the worst April Fool's joke you heard today? Or
today actually, well, I kind of tried to set up my filters on Twitter to not really see too much, but the worst one that I saw, that's just the honest to God truth, man. Yeah, I've gotten really, really good at it. Bruce Nolan taught me how to like really fix
Good
your
guy right there. It's a good guy.
Yeah. Bruce hooked me up. So, but the LeBron James that he's out for the rest of the year, I thought was just like, come on, man. Like you already announced this week that you're playing tonight. So, okay, you know,
a little tasteless.
Yeah. Real quick though, can I just say, because I don't want to forget that Gabe Davis take was really, really aggressive, man. Like, you know,
he's a UCF guy, man. He's a UCF guy.
Well, no,
yeah, he goes to UCF.
I gotta show love to my guy. You know
I love Gabe. I love Gabe, and a lot of people. I can promise you, when I say this, you guys are gonna be like, "Yo, Spence, are you kidding me?" But I promise you, just this is the comparison I make to him. He's benefiting very, very much from playing with Josh Allen and being in an offense with Stephon Diggs. At the time, Cole Beasley.
Knox.
Like Cole Beasley gets people open too. Knox gets people open. Josh Allen is a threat, so it's different there. I'm telling you, I compare not the similar skill set, but I'm saying like production value. To me, he's Juju the year that they had AB. That's how I see him. I don't see him being able to go to another team and be a number. He's not Steph.
Yeah, that's a perfectly
very,
fine
very
that's
solid
reasonable.
number two. You know, and that's how I think. But I know a lot of people don't like Juju. So when I say it, they're gonna be like, "Yo, you comparing the Juju?" I don't mean it as a diss.
No.
I think that year with AB, Juju came on the scene, and everybody was like, "Yo,
we're talking skills, not
So
attitude.
production wise, I think, not attitude. He's not Juju.
Yeah.
He's not gonna be dancing on teams' logos and doing none of that foolishness. But like production wise, with a good number one and a quarterback that's with you, I think he's going to give you that playoff performance. He's going to do things on the sideline against the Colts 2 years ago in the playoffs, 2 plays in a row. He's going to do that stuff because you're bracketing Diggs or double teaming Diggs. But if he were to go to a team that needed a number one receiver, he hasn't shown me what I need to see to be like, yo, we got 2 number one legit wide receiver threat. It's not what to me what the Raiders have right now. It's not what to me in the playoffs what the Rams had, because I know OBJ is looked at now as a wide receiver 3 or 2. OBJ is nice when he's healthy. Him and Cooper, like that's nasty.
The right QB
him and Cup
nice.
Together,
Like,
that's nasty.
OBJ, the thing, like even with that is you see the preliminary reports today. They're like, well, the Patriots are looking into doing their due diligence with that. I'm like, I don't want OBJ. Like if a receiver makes me go, I don't want him on that team. Yeah, he's a problem. He's still a problem.
So that's how I see him. And I'm sorry, like I love
no,
Gabe.
that's
just to defend my man Jake real quick. It was a projection. So this is to see what Gabe will do this year. That was originally a question I was asking.
Gotcha.
We'll see if because I think confidence is a big thing, right? Like you saw Malcolm Butler get the the Super Bowl interception, and the next year somehow he was a star cornerback, like a shutdown guy or something. And I was like, I never even heard of him before the interception, but whatever. So maybe this gives him confidence, and we'll see what happens. But Jake,
to be fair, he's got fucking.
Hold on, Izzy, real quick, hold on, because we got to wrap up the show. Izzy, April Fools.
They already did.
I mean,
April.
Jake, Izzy, April. Jake's
good hit.
Jake,
April Fool.
April.
So I really got today, and that's only because at the beginning of the day I posted like a Dilbert meme, and it was like I'm spreading misinformation on the internet, and it's like, why? Because it's fun. So it's like I saw it, and I'm like, watch out, everybody! Misinformation's everywhere today. And then later in the day, I'm doing stuff. I completely forget that it's April 1st. And I see Twitter goes, we're adding an edit button. And I'm like, oh my God, this is like, I hate when I post something and I can't edit it. Like, it just pisses me off. And I'm sure it pisses a lot of people off. So I'm so excited. And then Judge comes on. He's like, I'm waiting for you to see what day it is. And I went from the most excited I've ever been to be on a social media platform to just devastation. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. I was so mad. I got today by Twitter. But I gotta say, the person who won April Fool's Day today, even though I think it's literally a joke of a day, I hate it so much, but is Will Compton. I don't know if you guys saw his post with the baby. Oh my God. Him and his wife had a baby. Oh my God. If you haven't seen that, it is so hilarious. Obviously, Will Compton and his wife are both white people. And then he posted an African-American baby on there. He's like, we delivered her into the world last night. And people are like, yo, you need to like,
you got to talk to Dana DNA.
It was literally the funniest fucking thing. I woke up this morning and saw that, and all the comments were like, bro, you might like, there are all Maury memes under it, bro. It was hilarious.
Yeah, talk to Dana White.
Yeah. So I woke up this morning to a text. This might be a little raunchy for like, Bill's podcast, but this somebody who I haven't talked to in months. Like, she says,
give me the raunch. Give it to me. Let's go.
She says, I lied to you. I am pregnant. I just didn't know what you would think. I was like, what? And this is me waking up like to this. And so I'm like still fuzzy. And I'm like,
you don't know what day it is.
You're right.
What are you talking about, lady?
Exactly. That's what it was. So I was so.
It should be illegal to do that.
Right.
It should be illegal. Say I'm pregnant.
It wasn't very funny. For real. It wasn't very funny. I hate April Fool's Day. And my mom's birthday is April 2nd. So I got to get through it to get to, my mom's birthday. But it is what it is. But thank you guys. You guys have been watching First Round By on the official podcast network of the Bills Mafia. Go ahead and follow my man Jake at Jake the Bills fan on Twitter. Follow my man Jay Spence at JSpenceTheKing on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and all that stuff too, right?
Just Instagram and Twitter.
Okay, back. And then follow my man Izzy. Okay, whatever the hell. I'm messing it up. Well, follow my man Izzy over there, that freaking Puerto Rican. Look, you follow these three guys, and your timeline will be that much better. I want to thank these gentlemen for joining us tonight. Yeah, absolutely. Go check out their shows. You said the Code of Conduct is back. Is that correct? Or Hump Day Hotline is back, right?
Actually, all three shows are back. So Code of Conduct is back this week. We're gonna have my girl Gabby from FanDuel is gonna be joining me. I got a lot of good interviews coming up this summer too. I got Zach Moss coming. I got Tim Settle coming. I got
Tim Settle gonna bring that energy.
I got a couple other names that's big names that I'm waiting for like a confirmed yes, but we're gonna have a really, really good summer. The Hump Day Hotline is back, and then also the Chop Up is back. It's probably gonna be just Sterling and I for the summer. And then once the season hits, we'll probably get we'll get Sterls back. And then once the season hits, we'll get Kristen and Angelina back. And we're gonna get it going.
Congratulations, bro.
Dope, very dope, very dope.
Thank you.
So make sure you go check those out. They are back in rotation. Check out the lowdown every single Friday, except this Friday. But
Except this
usually,
Friday, because
typically,
yeah,
you get Jake in the morning on the lowdown, and you get Jake at night in first round by. So make sure you go check that out. And then of course Izzy every Sunday on the Red Zone Report.
Let's go. 7 p.m.
So 7 p.m. Absolutely. Thank you to these guys for joining us tonight. Thank you to all of you who checked this out and viewed this. We appreciate it. All the love, every like, subscribe, share, comment, retweet, all of it. We appreciate every single last iota of love and support. So thank you guys again. This is the official podcast network of Bills Mafia. You guys have a good night and go Bills.